Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I'm doing a review on the Graceling series. Graceling is the debut novel of Kristin Cashore, and then she wrote Fire, which is a prequel, and then she wrote Bitterblue, which is a sequel. And technically Fire is a companion book. These books are about people who are different. In Fire you follow a monster, and that is what they're called. But she's a monster because monsters have some sort of beautiful colored hair or fur or whatever that makes people just stop and stare at them when they pass by. Monsters also have a mind reading ability. They can go into somebody's head and change everything. So you follow the main character Fire in that one. In Graceling you follow our main character Katsa, who is a Graceling, which means that she has two different colored eyes. And if you have two different colored eyes, Katsa has one blue and one green, it means you are fantastic in some sort of skill. For example, Katsa is graced with killing. Poe, another of our main characters, is graced with hand fighting. In Bitterblue, you follow Princess Bitterblue, who shows up in Graceling. We'll get to that. One of my favorite things about this series is just the relationships between the people. The way Katsa and Poe work together and how their relationship develops and how it affects other people, you see quite a lot. You see Poe and Katsa's relationship develop in the first book, Graceling, and then you see how it affects others in Bitterblue. I loved the descriptions in Fire, and having read them when they all first came out and then continued rereading them, it made a big difference to read Fire first and realize, oh, that's where that person came from, because there's only one character in common. But then also to be able to see how her writing style developed. In the first one, it's a good writing style, but it feels very simplistic. By the time you get to Fire and then Bitterblue, she's really developed her writing style, and it's still simple, but without feeling as such. Bitterblue is probably almost my favorite. Graceling will always be my favorite, but just, I think because of the nostalgia aspect of it. But Bitterblue is definitely up there. It is an amazing, amazing book. The discovery by Katsa and Poe of different graces is really fun to read in Graceling. And then how everything wraps up at the end of Bitterblue is just amazing. I love how all three books come together at last. And the descriptions in Fire, oh, be still my heart, because they were beautiful. I could see the Black Castle and the Winged River, just all of it so clearly in my mind, because she left enough of it to the imagination, but told you enough so that it just stuns you when it takes place in your memory. The thing about it is I really like how it portrays power roles. There are 7 kingdoms, and then there's the Dells, and the 7 kingdoms obviously have 7 kings, and so you see how each of them play off the other. You also see how people lower down, the princes, which I mean aren't really that lower down, but princes, other relatives, and then sometimes less well-off people like innkeepers or farmers are affected by what these kings decide. And it's really interesting to see that, especially once you get more into Katsa and Poe's relationship in Bitterblue. It was amazing to watch how they reacted to these power trips. And in Bitterblue, I loved Bitterblue as a character. She is really coming into her own. She's figuring out what power is, what she can do with it, and it's amazing how she uses it and how she wants to use it, and the disconnect that's between there. I think Bitterblue is a book that is perfect for showing somebody how the politics of being a princess are what's important, as opposed to sort of that typical Disney princess idea that we all have in our heads. That was definitely my favorite part of Bitterblue. Also, the covers are just beautiful. I don't have the physical copies with me because, as you can see by the window, I'm not filming in my apartment. I'm actually in Duluth, right on the lake at the moment. So that's why I don't have them, but I will put them somewhere up on the screen so that you can see them, because they are beautiful. They're shiny, and I love how all of them just have this one aspect that is so vital to the story. put onto the cover. Like I said, these are some of my favorite books, and Fire was actually a pleasant surprise to me because I didn't remember liking it that much when I read it the first time. But then having gone back and read them in order this time, it's a really good book, and I'm so glad that I have it. I also have them all in hardcover, and I own Graceling in Spanish as well, because that sounded like fun. There were also several lines in the different books, I think Graceling specifically, where I had other references going through my head. For example, there's one in Fire, I think, where they're talking about the beacons being lit, and all I could think of was Gondor calls for aid, and I just thought that was hysterical. So there's many different references for me that are not necessarily intentional, but they're kind of funny. And the motifs that Kristen Cashore manipulated perfectly in Jane Unlimited, you could see the beginnings of in Graceling, and then as she developed it. I loved watching her writing and her plots develop as you went. And like I said, I think Graceling will always hold a special place in my heart, so it's hard to say that Bitterblue is my new favorite in this trilogy, but I'm really tempted. These books are just amazing. They really delve into relationships and power, and the descriptions are wonderful, so I can't recommend them more. I know some people don't like them, but there's always somebody, right? Anyway, that is all I'm going to say for right now because I don't want this to end up as long as my Icemark review did. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up down below, and if you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button down below. As always, I will leave my Goodreads linked in the down bar if you want to check out what I read, but until my next video, bye.